Welcome to the Mind Cemetery, where the paranoia about the paranormal comes to rest every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, right here, exclusively on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Heard around the world online at uprntalkradio.com, on FM 107.7 New Orleans, as well as 105.9 in Pass Christian, Mississippi. As always, we will do our best to delve into the unexplained, weird, and sometimes creepy topics you won't hear in your local news. Like what you hear on the show? Then like the Mind Cemetery Facebook page and follow at Mind Cemetery on Twitter. If you want to check out the show on your time, download the Mind Cemetery off iTunes and at soundcloud.com/UPRN. For all of the UFO Paranormal Radio Network's shows, visit mindcemetery.net for info on upcoming guests, weird news, award-winning blogs, show archives, and of course, the ever-present UFO Stalker. Join the discussion live in the UFO Paranormal Radio Network chat room on Pal Talk or call into the show at 1-504-273-7379. Welcome to the Mind Cemetery this week, right here on uprntalkradio.com. You can also listen to us on Live 365, Ustream, or you can join us in the network chat room on Pal Talk, UPRN Talk Radio, or the UFO Paranormal Radio Network chat room there. That'll get you there real quick to the other people listening into the show live. So tonight, we do have a guest. We will be connecting him on Skype here soon. We had some technical difficulties, as you can imagine. You know, when I have a guy like Taliban Joe running the boards...
Hey, I know where you live, buddy. Just remember that. I know where your ass lives.
You've already got me on Google Maps, hell.
That's right.
That's safe.
I had a chat with some of my Taliban friends the other day. I said, y'all be sure, you know, he's out there on the East Coast, line him up.
Yeah,
might have to
get him.
You might have to give him a haircut. And I said, since he's bald, you know what I'm talking about.
There's the old-fashioned haircut there.
That's right.
Considering it was just Thanksgiving. How pleasant. But, well, you know, there is a nuclear power plant here nearby that somebody can attack and hopefully swoop me up in the atomic haze. So, with any luck, right? At least some people hope, I'm sure.
Bruce.
No, there'll be a lot of...
737379.
Oh, there you go. Yes, we're looking for Bruce Barraclaw Jr. to join us tonight. He is a co-host at After Hours AM. And I shot you his Skype information via Skype, Joe.
Oh, did you? Let me get it then. I wouldn't.
Yes. There you go. So friend him and like him and pet him in strange places and whatever you do.
Hey, not unless he grows some boobs or something, man. Come on now. I've seen a picture of the guy. I'm like, come on, man.
So what you're saying is major reconstructive surgery,
yes,
and
we'll have
I don't think we have the time or the money for that, so or the willing participants.
We got that doctor that joined with us. You know, we got a MD coming on the network. He does plastic surgery. Oh, this ought to be just hilarious.
Dr. Van Nostril, I love it.
I have no idea. I asked him. I said, "Well, what do you want to come on my network for?" And he's like, "Well, y'all
why not?
Have a lot of fun." I'm like, "Well, we do have a lot of fun." He said, "Well, okay."
We do things with stuff.
Yes, he was listening. I forgot who he was listening to the other night. He said, "Man, y'all are crazy." No.
Only on special occasions are we allowed to be crazy by federal guidelines.
And we don't even hate on anybody.
That would be heavily disputed.
No, you didn't.
In some corners,
we don't hate on anybody unless they hate on us first.
There's the caveat. Open season, right?
We're just better at hating than most people. So they just
no, we just find better dirt, I guess.
Gary Gibbs writes to me the other day. He's one of what's his name's friends. He goes, "Joe, look, you don't know what he's talking about. Just leave him alone, man." Then I was like, he said, "I've heard you on the air before. You can be really mean. Just leave him alone." I'm like, come on. I told him, I said, I don't pick on the disabled or the short bus riders. I said, so I will leave him alone.
True. That's what I said last week about our guy, the Northeast UFO guy, the short guy, the little guy. I was like, somebody just tell me if there's a problem, and I'll lay off. I mean, that's just bad. That's just bad. Help me out, people. But no, we'll get him on here soon enough.
Actually, Bruce should be with us. Bruce, you with us, babe?
Oh.
What's going up, guys?
Hey, what's happening, babe? I had to turn my mic off because I had an invasion of the master chihuahuas, but...
as usual.
I'm going to get out of here and let y'all get to business, though. So if you need anything, you know where I'm hiding at.
Oh, there's no business here but monkey business, that's for sure.
God, I better turn on the filters tonight. I can see it coming.
maybe a sick monkey business.
Let's put on the 105 filters right now. 107 filters right now.
There you go.
Good
yeah,
luck,
I forgot. It's terrestrial.
You're always on filter, and either you're not on FM or you're on filter. So is actually Jeffrey's been well behaved lately. I've been amazed. So.
He's been all right.
Lately, I've had to put me on filter. So Saturday, I dropped a serious F-bomb right in the middle of Saturday's show, man.
Nice.
And I know it was on like several FM stations, so it was bad. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up and let you get down to business.
Please do. No. Bruce, how you doing? We finally made it through the trials and tribulations that is the technological wonders that we love so much today.
Gotta love radio, my brother. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, that's amazing. You say words and radio happens sometimes when you least expect it, that's for sure. But I'm glad you hopped on Skype because I heard some of the recordings on your website, afterhoursam.com. Your show that is on Tuesdays and Thursdays here, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern there, and I always have to emphasize Eastern because that's the only time slot that matters for the rest of the U.S. Get used to it. I like to harass the rest of my audience and badger them as we go. Slowly but surely alienating as many as possible.
It works, but now all you're missing is Jeff, man, and then that could have done the job, the three of us. It could have been the dream team.
He's living the dream now. He's finally got a lady friend, and life's looking great for him. So.
Good for him.
He is a handsome man, that's for sure.
Well, you know what? No more battling MUFON, I guess.
No, not for now. Not for now. I mean, the absurdity of it all is that the crazy train will continue to roll on no matter what because the identity's been assumed and we're going to carry that torch till we die kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
So there's no convincing anybody of anything at this point, especially out of the blue hair generation there within MUFON.
Well, you know what it is. You know what happens? You get people, whether it's in cryptozoology, the paranormal, UFOlogy, and it gets to their head. They believe themselves to be these authority figures, and what they say is right. And the minute you say something that they don't agree with, then you're damned, and, the cross is going to be burning in your front house.
Right. And it's, alert the neighbors and call all the dogs on this fool and this heretic for saying anything against what I had to do today, or say during this lecture and all that kind of garbage.
Absolutely.
It's really a magical cult of personality out there that I love, and it's an aspect of just sitting back and watching all three communities have at it, and watch it not only progress, I always call it a mental disorder, basically, and not only seeing it in UFO, paranormal, and the cryptozoology world, and then watching that same mental disorder go to work in sports, politics, religion. It's all blanketly the same. The zealots that you find have that thread in common.
Absolutely. But you know what, though? I'm going to use Jeff's expression here. On behalf of Bruce, Chip, and Jeff, pucker up because the fart boxes are ready.
That's right. That is for sure. And they're blowing loud and hard. That's for sure. When with After Hours AM, when did you get started with that with Joel Sturgis? When did that come about?
Well, Joel has been doing After Hours for about a year now, and he was doing it on his own with his wife co-hosting for a while, but she had to step down with work and all of that. So we did a show together. I was actually a guest on the show, and we just really clicked, hit well together, and he actually co-hosts. So it's been going good from there. I mean, we're getting some great names in the field out there, some celebrities coming on the show and really picking their brains and asking them the questions, and it's been really fun. It's been a good ride so far.
That's the best part of having your own show, is being able to ask the questions that you want of people, to be able to ask the questions that weren't asked a million times. With guests that I've had on, like you were saying, that I know have been on other shows, a lot, right? We're talking like the Nick Redferns, right? The Dolans and that kind of carousel, a celebrity that goes through the radio circuit. Ask them something different, ask them something personal, and see if they open up. That's the best part of it, is ask them something about their life outside of the UFO, paranormal, Bigfoot world, and humanize it a little bit, and at the same time, you're giving people something that they didn't hear the 50 other times.
Well, you know what?
Absolutely. That they had them on.
Absolutely. The show After Hours AM is, it's a real cheesy phrase that we use, but it really is for the people, by the people. We treat the show as, when you come on as a guest, it's a round table. We're sitting around as if we were around a campfire, just, shooting shit and having a good time and all of that. So, and they get comfortable with that, and then they do open up, and they want to talk more, and they want to come back. They want to be, as we call it, repeat offenders on the show and everything. So you get that good time from them, and then you do get to ask those questions that the public really wants to know. They don't want to hear the same thing over and over. Right. So what is it that you done last year when you were in the woods with the stick? They don't want to hear that stuff over and over.
Or the latest book spiel.
Correct. Absolutely.
that old classic there. And I'm sure you've probably, since you've already been on there, if you're on a mailing list, you're getting some books coming at you periodically there and looking to be on. And those are the easy ones there. And I usually don't even bother with that anymore. Whoops, I guess the cat's out of the bag there. There goes the free book train, right?
I got enough books in here to open up my own library.
Right. I was looking to give away some.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing, too. And I love all my guests that come on the show. I connect with them personally. We work together in the field. But when is there going to be something different? When is there going to be something challenging? When are you going to put that to? That's what I want to know. When is that going to come out? Not the same thing over and over. Bigfoot came down to my house, he creeped in my door and raided my refrigerator stories. I want to know, what are you doing to try to disprove that extraterrestrials do exist, that Bigfoot does exist? Because then what's left, whatever you can't disprove, is reality.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong with working backwards. And I've noticed that in most fields is that as soon as you do come out with a critical mindset on cases and events that have that you've heard like your whole life for the last 20 years, basically, whenever you've taken up the interest in it, and I just can't, I can't go along with some of the mumbo jumbo anymore out there on some of these cases, and I've whittled it down to damn few that I'll look at with an interest as, maybe I can learn something new from this, or it hasn't been just bastardized or just outright debunked. Like Gulf Breeze and all that was hot in the 90s, right? And everybody got interested, and that turned out to be garbage. Aliens in the refrigerator guy is outrageously stupid, and I don't understand how anyone goes with that. And conversely, in the Bigfoot world, the Bigfoot in the fridge is just as ridiculous. But, I remember that tour that went around, it got about 3 stops in, and they pulled the plug on it, that he was showing the body off and everything.
Yes, Rick Dyer. Mr. Rick Dyer.
that classic, And what has to be gleamed and I think admired the most from guys like Dyer and Greer and like a Weber or maybe even a Bassett to some extent. And I know I'm touching the third rail with a lot of acolytes there for Bassett, but the ability for them to not only stay relevant, but to stay provocative and to keep people interested, even though you know damn well it's garbage.
Well, here's
it's amazing.
Here's the thing, though. We're touching base on the whole, Bigfoot, in a freezer story by Rick Dyer, the hoaxer. In 2008, he did do a hoax. He admitted, after a while it was a hoax. It was made up of pig parts and other mush-mosh put together. But he did say after that watch and see what I do, in not so many words, I am going to hoax the Bigfoot field again, and everybody's going to jump on my bandwagon. And what did he do? He came out with, I think they called him Hank, the Bigfoot that he shot in a homeless camp. Yeah. And, there you go. And look how many people jumped on the bandwagon and believed in what he was saying. And, the funny thing is, he was sitting there and he was giving hints subliminally to people that, I'm screwing with you right now, but you're still sitting on my lap wanting more.
Right. So, it's the showmanship of it all.
Exactly. So who's really wrong when you think about it? Is it him, or is it all these people that are going to continuously follow him? Look, after Hank, I don't know if you're aware, but now he's claiming that he has another body that he recently got from Pennsylvania, and people are jumping on his bandwagon again.
My God. Love it. You can't resist, though, right? People can't resist.
I think people want something so bad to believe in that they're going to believe any mumbo-jumbo that comes. I'm sure you get lots of people on your show that researched Bigfoot for years and years. I'm sure you got people on your show that told you about the cases where they feed them, they hang out with them, and do all of this stuff. But yet nobody ever has any proof of this.
Nothing. No hairs, no poop, no footprint that's real. Or well, you know what? They got footprints, so.
I'm not debating.
There's the monkey paw, though.
Well, I'm not debating that this being is real. I'm just debating most of the people that you see joining this field claiming they're hanging out with them in their backyard.
Right, exactly. Did you see the Survivor Man?
Yes.
The Les Stroud one. Now, that videotape and everything, when I was watching it, the first time I saw it at home, kind of gave me goosebumps as I was watching it, and I was thinking, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at, is what I thought.
Well, the guy Todd Standing that has gotten all this footage and stuff, what I'm looking at when I'm watching his footage, I don't see something real. But then, there's a lot that goes into it. He's known to be a minute hoaxer. His, I believe, wife owns a makeup effects company, which is under a different name. Wow. And et cetera. So it's things like that. I mean,
real greasy, yeah. All coincidental, right? Just so happens my wife's into doing makeup, and I've got an Ewok / Wookiee in the tree line here. The first time I saw it, I got those goosebumps, and I felt like, what the hell am I looking at? And then, like you said, you watch it a couple more times, the magic goes away. Let's put it that way.
It does. Not one time does the eyes blink on this creature. As you're watching, it doesn't even move. It doesn't sniffle. It doesn't even look like it takes a breath. Or that, come on, look over the years. All the evidence that's really been presented. You see pictures of stumps that people claim to be Bigfoot. You see dark shadows in all this greenery, this foliage, but there's that part where the leaves start changing color, so it's a little darker, so that had to be a Bigfoot. And everybody believes it to be a Bigfoot. One time I was doing an investigation, actually out in the Pine Barrens in Jersey for the New Jersey Devil. And I took a picture of a stump, and I put this stump on Facebook. Man, This picture got me about 300 comments saying, "Oh my God, you got the definitive proof of Bigfoot. It exists."
Right.
And then I didn't know what to do 2 days later because I didn't want to break everybody's heart saying, "Guys, it's just a stump."
Yeah,
you know.
yikes. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, the back away from that is a tough one. But it definitely showed you a lot of what the group mindset and what can happen quickly. And how fast it can get taken away with there, and everybody gets swept up with it. And I'm sure there was more than a few screw yous tied in their posts.
Oh yeah, and the problem is, like, I'm very skeptical, and I try to take more of the scientific approach with it.
Sure.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and say any theory about Bigfoot is false or truth, because let's just face it, we don't know. But in my personal opinion, I don't believe Bigfoot can turn all predator and disappear and float and fly and levitate and interdimensional walk.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess that's where I got to lay it out there for you. I know you believe in the physical. I don't. I believe in that magical beast. And it's stupid. It's so stupid to say that, is that, if it does exist, until, of course, right, until I see this thing myself, I'll change my tune, right? And that's usually the way it goes.
Well, when that happens,
worry, I'm willing to be flexible.
When that happens, then the movie Tom Cruise is going to be in Legend 2 is going to be totally legit for you there, Chip. Come on.
Nice. I'm all about it. Yeah, I heard.
You're going to have, new Satans and elves and minotaurs.
Right.
Come on now.
I'm in it. In it to win it now.
Let's do it.
But yeah, I love too the tie-in that a lot of people in ufology want to tie in UFOs with Bigfoot or like orbs, the orb UFOs and all that to Bigfoot and all that. I love the tie-in that they try to bridge the communities there. I love that tie-in and leap that people like to make. And like I said, I just think for it to be a physical beast, and you're going to hear the textbook garbage out of me, basically. How I don't. How can a 7-foot thing not be discovered, and go undiscovered for so long? And it's just so much, it has to consume on a daily basis to sustain itself. And
you're right. Okay, and I can throw a bunch of different specs at you right now. For
Sure.
instance, how many times do you walk through the woods and see a mountain lion? You're not going to notice they're there until they're jumping on your back.
Right. And you know what? The closest I come to a mountain lion in the wild was up at Blue Ridge Mountains. There was a bear, and it was off in the brush, and we didn't see it, but we heard it growling, and I thought, shit, let's get the hell out of here. So that's the closest I've come to a mountain lion in the wild there.
Well, that's another perfect.
But still, I didn't even see it.
Well, that's another perfect example. A lot of research areas that I go to have a substantial amount of black bear. And I'll be quite honest with you, I haven't yet to see one. I've seen prints of them.
No.
I've seen their scat, but I haven't seen them. Now, yes, a black bear is probably about 5.5, 6 feet max. When it's standing on its hinds, it's no 7.5, 8 feet tall, being like they say Bigfoot to be. But still, very rare on occasion will you detect wildlife like that when you're in the woods. And then let's just face it, if you're not really there looking for this creature, you have all of today's technology, cell phones, radios, MP3 players. You're not really there looking for something, so you're not paying attention to your surroundings.
Right. Yeah, well, the other side of that is you also get the trail cams there to help you out when you're not there and not paying attention. But yeah, being, having all these devices that you're busy, controlling and using kind of does take you from it does kind of put blinders on in a way, I guess. You're right about that. It throws your concentration off.
And another thing to bring up, too, a lot of people will say then, okay, if we can't come across a live specimen, then how come we are not coming across any remains, skeletal remains, etc.?
Right.
Well, first off, I don't believe one of these creatures to just walk dead smack in the middle of the road for you and drop dead.
Sure. Give them a little credit. They've probably noticed these big machines out there.
Exactly. Secondly, everything from wildlife to plant life to soil to insects will consume a carcass very, very quick.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That definitely is true.
But now, then we'll go a little deeper into it. And for many years now, we have been discovering what they call giants in these caves. Just recently, I believe it was Georgia, they just discovered a burial mound of these giants. Well,
nice.
How come nobody is trying to put that connection together? Could these skeletal remains we're finding, which are described anywhere from 6.5 feet to almost 12 feet, very large masses on them, how come nobody's putting two and two together and saying, well, could this be what we're seeing today?
Right.
Because from skeletal remains, you're not going to know if this creature is covered in hair or not.
Right. Right. You do a lot of reconstructive experts and all that, and I don't see a lot of them flocking to the field, to do that on some giant bones, and definitely none of it would be involving hair all over the body,
I believe
Gigantopithecus kind of,
there's so many,
or Gigantopithecus type.
There's so many different theories out there of what Bigfoot could be: extraterrestrial, spiritual, just a undiscovered North American ape species, which I'd have to believe more into the paranormal than that. But I believe it to be maybe what you would call a subspecies of man, or even going along the lines of saying Neanderthal or species of man. We once walked alongside Neanderthal, and you know what, I'm not even going to try to get this name. It starts with a D, but there was another type of species of, I guess, human, you would say, walked alongside us with Neanderthal. So I believe it to be more along the lines of that than...
there's definitely that possibility. It definitely makes it a lot easier, to happen to have species along with us along the way. And I love seeing the news on any kind of giant races out there or elongated skull studies that are going on. But I really can't stand when it gets... When that whole idea always gets like slathered in. Here's a picture of a skull the size of a Volkswagen bus, and look at this giant that we found. It's like, come on, you can't. It seems very opportunistic for these people that love putting that stuff out there a lot, like the third phase of the moon folks, but when they do find some legitimate, 8, 9 foot, 10 foot bodies out there and in the mounds like you're talking about, and there's, mounds in Indiana and Ohio and all that kind of, all through the river valley there, that could be filled with these kind of remains. But when you really when you stack on top of with your Volkswagen bus skull onto these stories, it really just whitewashes the whole damn thing and makes it laughable for the general public.
Well, I think it's safe to say it happens in every field out there. In the paranormal, you can have a simple haunting all of a sudden turn into 6 demons trying to possess you. They possess your house. They possess your car keys. To these really grotesque aliens coming down and lifting you up to probe you every night.
Right.
You know, and I'm sorry, I know Joe's probably going to hate me for saying that, but I bust chops about that all the time with the whole, because come on, just like in every field, they had their little phase, and like, you know, late 80s, early 90s, everybody that encountered a UFO or extraterrestrial ended up getting probed. I mean,
It was all Whitley Strieber.
You know, my thing is,
you know,
I don't see these higher beams of light coming light years away to say, hey, bend over there, Chip.
Right. Let me use this thing on you.
Yeah, I don't see it. You know.
We managed to travel light years, but I'm still using this thing.
I'm sure.
Yeah, this is good enough for you, you shaven ape.
I'm sure on certain occasions, probing might have happened, but once their story comes out, then everybody else has to pick up on that.
Right, that's the running narrative, you know. And then they slap you and spit on you and tell you you're scum when they're done.
You know, the new thing is everything is in the paranormal. Everything is either a demon or everybody is psychic.
Yes. Well, you know, isn't that the pendulum swing that I remember talking a few years ago about how, you know, everybody's, you know, banging the scientific drum hard, right? We're all scientific. We've got these thermometers and we've got all this stuff, right? And lo and behold, you know, it's going to swing back to bring in the medium, you know, and get rid of the science again and just take it from, you know, and just go out of the box with it again and turn it into a sideshow. And that's pretty much what's going on again. You're right about that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's in all the fields. We, who are researchers, try and strive to bring the scientific community and get them involved, as well as the public.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, what's really going on when we come out with these outlandish theories and remarks and nothing to back anything up is people are sitting there and laughing at what it is we actually do.
Right. Well, you know, the outside they are. You know, in the straight world they are. In the inside they're, you know, grabbing their spoons and lapping it up, you know, thinking, oh, God, this is a great idea.
Yeah, well, you know, I almost refuse to do private houses anymore, investigate and help out people, because 90% of the time when you get there and they seem there's no production crew behind you, they're like, oh, we're not interested. Or, I mean, I had a case, and I don't, you know, speak about my cases and such, but I had a case without names or saying where. Basically, I was told this individual had hellhounds and scorpions having sex at the edge of her bed, and she didn't know what to do, and if there was any way me or my team could come in there and help her.
Wow. I don't even know. Like, how do you even cook up something that crazy? You know, that diverse of an animal species in your room having sex.
You know... All you had to add...
Ghost ones, mind you, right?
Yeah. All you had to add was Bigfoot and the Jersey Devil, and then on top of that, you know, the Greys came down and probed you.
Call it a day.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Let's round this out for good measure. The next weekend, he brought his friends.
Yeah. But it's stuff like that. And then what I think happens, okay, and it's by far not reality. It's entertainment. People watch these television shows and they think, oh my God, this is what actually happens. No, there's not 15 people on a team carrying shotguns around, and the minute a twig snaps in the woods, they're ready to pull the trigger. You know, that doesn't happen. You know, the guy with the strange hair, you know, Giorgio, is not sitting there. It's just things like this people take into heart and believe it's real, and they're either laughing or they want to imitate exactly what they see on television because they think it's reality, when it's just entertainment.
Yep. Yeah, that's you know, I learned my lessons in doing and dabbling in some riding along in some investigations and all that with some local groups here in Raleigh, North Carolina. But tell everybody about your group and let them know where they can find you there, because we didn't even get to that yet.
Well, I am the founder of NEAR, Northeastern Anomalous Research. We research anything from the paranormal to cryptozoology, Bigfoot, ghosts. I would say UFOs, but I don't feel like getting probed too much.
Right.
You can check us out.
Keep it to a minimum.
Exactly. You can check us out at www.near2010.com or come over to our Facebook page, give us a like, a share, get updates on the radio show and our investigations and such, and that's www.facebook.com/near2010.com.
And if you didn't get all that down, just go to Mind Cemetery on Facebook. There's links to all of that right there on the page. And I'm slowly but surely getting rid of the auto feed stories so they don't drown it. So hopefully we keep it near the top there. That's the worst part of having Hootsuite and putting it on auto and walking away and not remembering your password anymore, actually. On how to stop the tweets from coming, or the posts from coming. But anyway, those are the trials and tribulations of social media management, I guess. For some idiots.
Well, you know, it happens. It happens. Chip, don't worry, man. I got a shoulder for you to come lean on.
Nice. I need it. But yeah, I love the crossover between the two, and they just had someone on Coast to Coast the other night talking about the Bigfoot alien crossover shenanigans that they always have there. And there's a Kiwani leporitis, or I always call it lepertitis, but Jeff's had on a few times, and I know you've probably heard of him too, yes. Right? Love it. Love the guy. I love the story, love the massages, love it all. Rub me down, Bigfoot, anytime.
Well,
use your big muscular hands.
You know, no. I've interviewed people. I've talked to and heard many different stories, and man, I hear people claim that Bigfoot come down and hang out with them and talk to them, and they're invisible, and they can fly, and they can do all this stuff, right? But even when I interviewed them for my radio show, I don't mean to be rude, but I ask the questions. You know, if somebody's going to tell me that you have a one-to-one with Bigfoot, I'm going to ask you, what's the first question that's going to come out of anybody's mind? Where's the evidence? Then you get the same exact excuse every time.
Right.
Well, you know, they were there, and I didn't want to pull out a camera and take a picture of them because I didn't want them to lose my trust. Okay, it's 2014. You can get cameras the size of your pee hole, okay,
right.
and snap a picture, and they wouldn't know the difference.
Right. Oh, you know, there's always, you know, it's like when you see the ER horror stories and it's 1 in a million shot, Doc. You know, it's predictable every time. The explanation is the same. You know, the damnedest thing happened. Or I was building respect with this sacred animal. You know, it's that kind of shenanigans that just blow my mind.
Well,
you know, in the Bigfoot community.
Why I think that happens is because, let's face it, for you to tell me Bigfoot can fly, how can I truly debate you? I don't know if Bigfoot can fly. But if you tell me he can walk, I'm going to say, yes, there's much evidence because there are tracks that we've come across. You know, and let's face it, there are fake tracks that people do create out there.
Of course.
But there are some that are very legitimate. So I guess when it comes to the whole paranormal sense of Bigfoot, it's easier to make this stuff up so people can buy into your story a little bit more than you saying that Bigfoot is, you know, this 7-foot tall man or ape that's just hanging around your property, because then you'd have to have the definitive proof that we need. But if you claim that he's paranormal and he's floating and interdimensional walking, you can keep selling your books and jumping on radio shows and, you know, getting people to follow you.
That's a more brilliant plan right there in the branding of any would-be, you know, star for any three of the categories right there. It's just make yourself viable as long as
there
possible.
Is somebody out there that charges to teach you how to mind speak with Bigfoot. And do you know what? People actually pay to do this.
Yikes. Yeah, I call that kind of stuff. That's you might as well just call that the Bigfoot camp. That and the hunts that our boy Moneymaker does there. I call that the Bigfoot fantasy camp there. And Greer does the same thing he's done in Virginia and of course out in Sedona, in these hot spots for raging mush minds that'll believe any tripe that comes down the trough. But yeah, he likes to have those fantasy camps of his about flashing lasers to UFOs in the sky and doing the mind meld and having them appear and all that kind of horse crap that people just gobble up for some reason. Again, mental cases looking to form an identity or imprint one onto themselves because they are malleable, basically.
Well, you know what? I was doing some research, and it was basic research, just getting out in the field sometimes a week, 2 weeks at a time. But then I wanted to take it a step further. Now, we're saying that, and I'm sure you heard, Bigfoot will knock on trees, wood knock, as they call it. Bigfoot will create stick structures and stuff. Well, I wanted to kind of put it to the test, so to speak. I wanted to find out what other possibilities these creations could be. Well, one day I was upstate New York, and I was visiting a friend, staying with a friend for a couple days, and we took a walk. He had a stream in the back, and we took a walk and just came across this really odd structure. It looked very well put together, TP structure, and I'm like, come on, man, here, a Bigfoot's going to be here? Yeah. Well, out of the woods comes this guy holding a gun. And we start talking, and, he asked what we were doing there, and I came out and told him, and he told me he was hunting. And I asked him about the structure, and he said, oh, yeah, there's quite a few of us. We build our own structures. And I said, why would you do that? He goes, well, what better way to hunt and not be seen, camouflage, than what Mother Earth already gives you, what the environment already supplies. Right. So it made a lot of sense. So then I asked him about tree breaks. Does he mess around with stuff like that? They will do tree breaks if they're close to a game trail or if they had a kill prior season to remind them where they had that kill. So it really got me intrigued, and I started going to a lot of these research areas in many different states, going to local coffee shops around hunting season, mother pop shops, and just started talking to people. And, man, when I tell you a majority of hunters actually do this. Then it went a step further. Nice. I started talking to the Boy Scouts of America, and they do their survival training where they're asked to build TPs and different structures. Do they ever take them down? No. Once they get built, they walk away from it, and that's it. They're just left there. Right. And then you do have your people, like we just had him on our show. He was a blast. Mick Dodge from the TV show The Legend of Mick Dodge, who live out in the woods like that and create shelters. And, so you're telling me Bigfoot does this, but there's so many possibilities that are out there or what's being done, and you're going to say it's Bigfoot. So now every time you walk into a broken stick or come across a TP structure, you're going to tell me Bigfoot's there? Right. So these are the things we have to look into.
That's a great point right there that you just made, and some great information, because I was just thinking, even further about the Les Stroud Bigfoot episode there, and how they were talking about the branches being broken high up and everything like that, and you bringing up that's what people do to mark their territory or mark where their last kill was, just so they know from season to season and coming back looking for hot spots themselves. Same thing with game trails. You're just looking to reroute them and disturb the trail to get them to come out. But that's something I haven't heard from other Bigfoot people, and I haven't had a whole lot actually on the show or paid too much attention to it really because, of my own stupid personal stance on my unicorn magical Bigfoot stupidity. I'm busy waiting for a back rub, right? and, because that's how it was. And I was like that for a long time about crop circles too, until I actually got to see a presentation over in Greensville with it that got me interested in it again. So it's, it comes and goes and it sparks my interest. And I think, and I used to always think too that, it's always so basic, Bigfoot hunting would be, wouldn't it? You like you said, you got the knocks with the rock or the tree, and then the knockdown stuff. The shelters, the makeshift shelters, and it's all the same. But then I think, well, the same thing could have been said about any other kind of investigation, really. If I want to break it down to that. So I really don't need to be.
Well, here's
breaking it down to that kind of simple.
Here's the thing,
aspect.
too, though, Chip. Let's talk about wood knocks for a second. Because, oh my God, if you're in the forest these days and you hear a knock while you're there, it has to be Bigfoot. Well, one, the most common would be a woodpecker. Then you have, depending on the season, bucks, deer, who will charge one another for mating rights and such. Then you have when they do shed the antlers and they're hitting against a tree. So those are only a couple of possibilities. And now that Bigfooting has become so mainstream, if I'm over here on one block knocking against a tree, there are teams popping up everywhere. And you hear a knock from a distance, God knows that could be another person knocking back at you. And you two would both sit there thinking, oh my God, Bigfoot's communicating.
I'm busy speaking Bigfoot over here.
Here's the thing, and this is what I'll tell anybody that's interested in Bigfoot and wanting to research. Walk through your local woods, your local forests. Walk as far as it takes you until you can turn around and find a stick on the floor, a branch, that's going to hold up to your strength of hitting it against a tree before it breaks. Because I've tried it, and it's very rare you can find something decent enough before you get about 3 or 4 whacks out of it, and then it breaks. Now, picture a 8-9 foot tall creature, triple R strength, doing the same thing. I think he has better things to do than looking on the floor for a stick.
Right. And that's a very good point you brought up, and I've been getting out in the woods a lot this fall, especially with my son, getting him out there used to it, because we've got the Uwharrie Forest here in North Carolina, not too far away, southwest of here, of Raleigh, that is. And I've been, trying to get him out there, and he likes walking around out there. But it is, you go ahead and look on the ground and try to find a decent stick, because my son's doing it the entire time we're walking, and there's really not a whole lot of sturdy ones around. And, of course, he is banging it on a tree, and it's breaking rather quickly. So if a 4-year-old, 4.5-year-old can manage that, just imagine what that 7, 8, 9-footer can.
Right. Well, but what happens is they watch TV, they hear your buddy Moneymaker sitting there and saying, this is what a Bigfoot does. But yet, when does he pick up a stick? He brings 2x4s or axe handles into the woods with him. Does that make any sense? He's pretty much contradicting himself right there.
Well, those are just slight plot holes, they would say, in production world. There's you never see when it comes time to knock any kind of indigenous usage of what's around. Not even like they don't even cut down a tree. You know what I mean? Like you find a good one and cut it down and shape it and go at it and give yourself that optimum chance that God knows, Bigfoot isn't getting this kind of material to work with, right? And see if it would work even that way. And then, they don't even do that.
My problem is, when do you hear from eyewitnesses, researchers, how do they know for a fact that Bigfoot wood knocks? How do they know for a fact Bigfoot builds teepees? They're assuming these things. Think about it. We know Bigfoot, and let's just say from before the Patterson-Gimlin film, okay, the PG film, when it became really mainstream, it started to and really big. Before that, what you really had was Native American stories. Here and there, some eyewitness accounts that happen to certain people in the woods. You even had such as Theodore Roosevelt writing in his journal about coming face to face with a large, hairy, ape-like creature. You have these stories, but none of these stories, I mean, Native American stories go sometimes really into detail as far as what they looked like, their day-to-day habits. Some talk about them being nothing more than a larger species, another tribe that they would trade with and such. None of them talk about tree structures or wood knocks. I think that's just becoming of a new phase to get you to get off the couch and do a little bit more.
To get you to interact a little, to jack it up a little bit for showmanship.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna actually start creating one of those like Bigfoot workout tapes, and it's gonna show you things to do. So you got to get out there.
I had a guy on from Bigfoot Hunting on YouTube was the guy's name, and he's also got a not the guy's name, but that's the YouTube site. Sorry. Forgot his name off the top of my head. I just thought of him again. But he was talking about putting bacon up in trees and all this other kind of stuff. And, strobe lights, just reflective, shiny stuff, just outlandish, just out there. I don't know. Like, just completely out of the box.
Doing stuff like that a couple of times might pique a creature's interest.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then they're going to learn, like, okay, I'm not coming close. Oh, that smell of bacon?
Uh-huh.
Man, it smells good, but I know what that means. There's a bunch of people with guns, oddly enough, probably sitting there. They're not going to come in and start hanging out.
You're right. Once you smell that bacon, I'm sure it's not too hard to find out that it was manufactured or artificially flavored, and scented and all that kind of stuff.
Everybody loves bacon.
Right. And then that deer thinks, when did that pig douse himself in maple,
dude,
flavoring before he died?
Have you seen, Chip, they have made Bigfoot flavored, bacon flavored panties?
Oh, God, no.
Do you know if, I swear to God, if a chick goes to wear one of those and works all day and then goes to come home and say, hey, baby? Oh.
That's not your working pair. That's not your gamer,
That's not going to smell like bacon anymore.
I'll tell you the worst bacon combo I ever had was at the North Carolina State Fair a couple years ago. I had the chocolate-covered bacon. Disgusting.
Was it really?
And just terrible. Just god-awful bad. The bacon was miserable to begin with. It wasn't like thick cut, fried up and then dipped and all that. It was stupid microwave bacon. Like Oscar Mayer, and I was like, you bastards. I literally just want to throw this at you right now, after it's done.
Man.
Just a bastardization of two ingredients and just, what did I expect down here, right? I moved down here, this is what you get,
Well,
idiot.
You know what, they have, and I've never tried it. I don't know, I'm kind of grossed out by it, but it might be good. Bacon ice cream, bacon milkshakes, stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, those combos are just too far out there. You've seen the crazy, like, the molecular foodie type people that, they're going to make you something that looks like a hot dog, but it really tastes like ice cream or something like that. You've seen those crazy food shows before. Those are interesting, just total mind screws on you. Your mouth and your eyes and everything's confusing you, and you're trying to have dinner. On second thought, it doesn't sound like a pleasant experience.
If I want bacon, I'd go home and cook up some bacon.
Right. Just give me the
exactly. If I want ice cream, that's what I go to Carvel for. Let me cook the bacon and you make the ice cream.
Right. Just keep it easy then. Well, we're at the top of the hour here. I definitely wanted to talk to you about the Gimlin film. That film definitely, and we got plenty of other good times here to have here for the next hour on UPRNTalkRadio.com. You're listening to Mind Cemetery, 9 to 11 Eastern on, UPRNTalkRadio.com. I guess I just said it twice. It's so nice Tell them where they can find you,
It's
Bruce.
the Grays. They're coming down for you, Chip. They got the lube ready.
Yeah, that's right. I felt some fingers touching me.
Yeah, hit me up on Facebook, www.facebook.com/near2010.com.
Nice. Just keep it simple right there. And After Hours AM, 9 to 11, Tuesdays and Thursdays right here on UPRNTalkRadio.com. Taliban Joe, jihad away for a few minutes here, I guess, and we'll be back.
Yeah.
Science skeptics and UFOs.
I
Yep.
just remember doing a book like that just recently for somebody.
That's right. We're back a little late, but that's okay. We were having a good time. Taliban Joe had a knife to my neck, so there was nothing I could really do. We had to talk him down. Well, at least talk the knife down. Listening to the Mind Cemetery right here on UPRNTalkRadio.com. And we have with us tonight Bruce Barraclaw Jr., and I hopefully pronounced that right.
Yes. You
Good.
You did a good job.
Living in the South, I wasn't educated in the South, so I'm down here doing the Gene Pool a favor, as I like to tell people.
You got a pretty mouth there, Chip.
Right? And it speaks stupidly. But anyway. So before we get into back into talking about Bigfoot and all that good stuff, I wanted to say that I did see where today our old buddy Stan Romanek did have his court date this morning at 8:30 this morning, and of course no one knows what happened. So I'd been looking all night and all day, and I saw nothing about a disposition, and it has been, my guess that it's been continued, because if it was acquitted or dropped or anything like that, positive for them, then I don't doubt that Lisa wouldn't be the kind of person to throw that in everybody's face. So that's my assumption at this point. I'm sure it got continued again, and I guess they're trying to find out if he's mentally competent to stand trial. So that should do wonders for the Stan Romanek story with the alien in the window and all that good stuff. So good luck with that. You're killing your career no matter what happens. Congratulations.
And the crowd goes wild.
It was so easy. It was so simple. Just let them go for a while.
Sounds like a good song, though, man. Alien in the window.
And paper clips flying through the air on his YouTube videos. I don't know what that was. That was a paper clip that you threw. It's so simple. But yeah, you definitely catch more flies with honey around here instead of beating them up for the obvious nonsense that some individuals and organizations are. What kills me more than anything, too, is this Mandate 0463, which I've now committed to memory because I've had to, read over it and look at all the information with it before. But it's a complete fraud that MUFON manufactured and put out there so they can rob you of a few bucks when you donate to their Kickstarter to start a database.
I need to start a Kickstarter, man.
Right? I thought about it for my sports show. I thought about a Kickstarter for that, but I was like, forget it. I don't need to do that kind of stuff.
Yes, hi, I'm your caller.
Oh, caller. How are you?
I'm calling from D.C. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And I wanted to know what you think about this new law that's not going to let you be able to hate on people on the Internet anymore.
Net neutrality?
But I think it's going a little worse than net neutrality now. I think it's gone beyond that now. Now they're talking about you can't hate or threaten or even kiss anybody on the Internet anymore. You're going to go to prison.
Well, you know who did that, right?
Well, that's the emperor.
That's that damn liberal Barack Hussein Obama.
That's the emperor, but still.
Yeah.
Actually, in all fairness to this guy, I hate taking up for this man. I hate when I got to take up for this man. He's the only one so far about the Internet that actually made any sense. Oh, no, it's the Internet. You can't be saying that kind of crap. You can't be slowing down the speeds on the Internet, and you can't be telling people they can't say what they want in Internet freedom of speech. But the Supreme Court is looking at it a little different. I was listening to them today. They're kind of torn this decision over that stupid guy who wrote he wanted to burn, kill, blood-soaked little cuts all over. I guess he was talking about his wife, and they put him in jail with a felony for that.
Sure.
I'm thinking
communicating threats.
Well, he did it on Facebook. They said he's never been by. He's never hurt anybody. He's never done anything, but he got charged with a felony and put in jail. because he wrote this on.
He was such a nice guy.
Because he wrote this on his Facebook page.
Right.
But come on, I've heard you say some pretty nasty stuff. I've said some pretty nasty stuff. When I say I got it out, you come down here, I'll step on your neck for you. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I'm just saying, for people like us, this could be a bad thing. And I've heard Bruce and Joel, they could be in trouble too.
Nah, we're good boys over there.
Oh,
right?
Man.
Come and get us.
I was just curious because I didn't think nothing about it. I figured Obama would stick up and he won't let the big companies meet at a bandwidth, which is cool. That's all I was worried about. And then all of a sudden, I hear the Supreme 3 justices talking about freedom of speech on the internet. And I'm like, what? You want to do what? Because one guy said, well, we can't do that because that just allows everybody to abuse their spouses without getting any consequences. I'm like, yeah, but what happens if I just want to write some rap lyrics down and y'all just think that's what it is? Like, right. Come on. The lawyer was playing different lyrics from different songs way worse than what this guy wrote. So, I mean, they had a valid point there. It's not like the material's not already on the internet. So what happens if they pass this law, all this rap music and all this hate music is going to have to be taken off the internet?
Right? That's what I blame, rock and roll and rap music.
God. Don't blame rock and roll. Don't blame rock and roll.
I don't think it even exists anymore, to be honest. I haven't heard a damn thing new come out.
Real rock? I don't know if real rock does exist anymore. There's a lot of forms of rock.
Right.
Well, you need that hardcore stuff, man. Five Finger Death Punch.
You need something every once in a while.
You know what? I actually saw Mastodon here in downtown Raleigh during Hopscotch Festival. They had a band called Death. If you ever get to see a documentary, I think it's on Netflix, called A Band Called Death, and it's about basically like a black punk rock band from Detroit back when Detroit was all about Motown, basically. And they came out and played with Death. They opened for Death, or Death opened for Mastodon, sorry. So that was a pretty good night. Nice little free concert downtown.
There you go, that works.
But yeah, so that got my little fix in until Tool comes out with their next album. But anyway, I digress. And this show just went totally off the rails.
Wow.
With the Emperor and all that kind of stuff. So that happens sometimes, and that's the risk you run being here. But that's all right. No, we still love you, Joe. I know you're a passionate man, and you've got the hair to prove it. So a bountiful mane that I'd love to stroke.
Wow.
In the sun.
You guys need some alone time.
I had you on mute now. You just we give him and Jeff some alone time.
I go there, girlfriend. I go there.
You're gonna get Jeff jealous. He ain't even in this mix right now.
I'm gonna call a dragon lady, buddy. You better buck up.
Oh.
I don't need the dragon coming. Nobody needs that kind of heat bearing down on him.
Please. Let's get back to Bigfoot. Hurry up.
Right. The Patterson-Gimlin film there, if I'm pronouncing it right, or PG. There we go. Sorry, I'll flip it around eventually and get it right one of these 5 times. I loved it when I saw it, right? But then I saw the stabilized video version, and then I was like, oh no. And what did you think of the stabilized version? If you saw it? I'm sure you did, right?
I did. My issue with the PG film is, if you see it and you know no background behind it, you would say, wow, this is an amazing video. This is an amazing specimen. But then you start hearing some of the background behind it, such, not many people know that Patterson and Gimlin were on that expedition to film a movie/documentary about Bigfoot. And it just so seems they got lucky enough to come across one.
Right, magically.
Then you say to yourself, a creature such as this, it just looked too good to be true as it's walking away nonchalantly, and then it turns and looks right at the camera saying, hey, what's up, guys? If this creature is elusive, if it doesn't want to be seen, it's going to take off. It ain't going to just sit there and walk down the path of...
Saunter away.
Exactly, the path of least resistance. And then you ask yourself, in a sense, and, again, I wasn't there, so you don't know the absolute details, but you have this camera, you got this creature on camera. my ass would have been chasing it. It's walking away nonchalantly. I would have kept walking right along there with it.
Get closer. Yeah, and evidently they had a rifle or something too, didn't they? When they were out there. So yeah, one of you man the gun, the next one we're going. We're going to follow this. There's no reason for you to be afraid. You're white Anglo-Saxon Protestant man with a gun, get your ass out there. Okay? This is what you've been living for. You've been hunting your whole life. So, and yeah, they just let it go. Hey, bye. And it even gave you a nice face shot as it turns around and looks at you. And for years, everybody said, look at that. That suits them. That's an amazing specimen. Like you said, it's an amazing example. There's no way that suit could be recreated at that time. And look how it moves with the skin, and the hair moves with the muscle mass and all that kind of stuff, right? And the gait of its walk, we heard too.
Well, here's the thing. Right? Let's go back to that. Well, the costume, if it is a costume, is probably one of the best you've ever seen. But now that's the only thing that keeps me from, going to one camp or the other. Because you see these Bigfoot movies even being made today, and you would think if you're making a movie, Paramount or whatever, there was just a new Bigfoot movie that came out called Exist. None of these costumes compare to what you see in the PG film. And now we're talking 2014, and the technology is way more advanced. So that's the only thing that still keeps me on edge. But again, when it comes back to, listening to the backstory, the purpose of what they were doing there, you have a statement in the chat room here. Would you follow a grizzly bear or a mountain lion? Well, if that's my goal of the day, and I'm with people, and I have firepower and I'm hunting a grizzly bear or a mountain lion, odds are I'm going to follow it. And that's
going to get it.
That's what they did. This was their goal for the day. They set out to hunt / film this creature.
And I understand the suit being advanced because it does look great, and like you said, the comparisons of even today's versions of it are laughable, right? And easily distinguishable. The only thing I'd say in response to that is, and I don't know if you've ever seen these episodes, and it's kind of out there, but if you've ever seen the Three Stooges episodes where they put Curly in the gorilla suit.
Yes.
Okay. And I know it's absurd and hilarious, but look at, that body torso setup that he has. To me, it looks possible that this is real close to it because the butt on this thing doesn't move, when it gets the stabilized version. It's got it just nothing works out the way it did in the non-stabilized, in the motions of it. It seems like,
and then you ask
all the jostling kind of got thrown out the window, and that's when I was like, my God, I've seen this kind of suit at least close before on the Three Stooges, and I thought that's insane if it's something that simple.
Well, then you ask yourself too, when this occurred, they were filming with probably advanced equipment for that time, which was a 16 millimeter. And they got the best, if this is legit, Bigfoot evidence ever. Now, again, 2014, and we have some fantastic technology out there, digital and etc., and still every picture that comes forth of a Bigfoot is a blob squatch.
Yeah. And that's another good point you bring up. We forget this technology that was used to capture this film to begin with. It might as well be from another planet if you show it to, 15, 16, 18-year-olds. And hell, put it in my 37-year-old hands, I'm going to look at it like like the RCA dog tilting his head, and it's going to be the same way, So 16, millimeter there was the hot soup, and it was the best that they could have, and even with our digital means today, it's a train wreck. And I think I've heard some conversation lately about that, and not just in pertaining to Bigfoot, but also to UFOs and maybe not so much the paranormal, but at least the UFOs when they try to make that correlation between the two and the fuzziness that you get from a lot of the pictures that come out. Well, some of them were saying that some of it is, what people are seeing when they're taking the picture is basically their imagination, making something out of something out there in nature more than it should be, and they get the picture, and then you get it, and magically it turns into a blur. Well, it was always that blur. It was just someone worked themselves up to believe it was much more than that. I think.
Well, that happens
and
a
that's
lot.
what a lot of the conversation going on.
That happens a lot in the paranormal and what they call matrixing. When they're taking these photos and these orbs or these possible apparitions that are popping up, but, nobody realizes they're in an old abandoned building and they just kicked up, tons and tons of dust.
That's a good question about the whole... Well, let's go ahead and talk about the paranormal investigations, because we've really killed a lot of Bigfoot time.
All right.
We've really killed a lot of Bigfoot, and you also do paranormal stuff.
I do.
And stuff, he says. I put the rabbit ears up, right?
I investigate hellhounds and scorpions.
Oh, well, I turned out I have a ghost dog here at the house, and I didn't think that was possible.
That movie was pretty good, Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dog was solid, actually. A big fan of it. I'll watch it still. It holds up very well over time. Still does. Until you see the TVs and everything. Right? And then it gets out of whack when you start seeing tubes and console TVs and all that.
Mess with his pigeons.
But, right? So, this thing started barking, and my wife's the denialist, and I don't even consider her, not skeptical, not anything like, just denialist, just doesn't want any of this to exist. All right? Doesn't believe it. Smack you in the face, doesn't believe you. Has been in rooms with me where things have moved during these investigations we go right along with, and doesn't believe it. Thought it was a tremor in the room, by the way. Thought it was like a micro earthquake. So the lengths to, dispel a lot of things. Like I said, I just said, screw it. You're just a denialist. So, I heard it once when I was in bed, right outside our bedroom door in the hallway there. Got a little woof action and a little collar jingle, right? And it's like one of those 5-pound dogs, right? And I'm like, oh, what the hell? Here I am thinking I got one of these foo-foo dogs here that you carry in your purse running around the house now, right? And I was trying to wake up Nicole. I'm like, wake up, there's a dog in the house, right? First of all, I can't believe I'm saying this stupidness, that there's a dog in the house. And I'm trying to wake her up like she's going to do anything about it.
Now,
right?
You weren't tripping that night on hallucinogenics, correct?
No, not then.
You weren't seeing leprechauns?
Subsequently, because of, right? That would be even worse. If I ever saw something like on Cat's Eye, oh, man.
That happened to me once.
Lock me up and put me away.
That happened to me once in my teens, and I got hit by a car.
Really?
Yeah, man. The first time I ever tried a hallucinogenic, I was peer pressured into it. I wanted to be cool. And it was the middle of winter. Sure. I was sitting in a park, and I was looking up at the trees, and they all turned to snakes and started chasing me. And then I saw a leprechaun point at me, and I didn't realize I was in the street, and I got hit by a car.
Oh, my God.
Yes, teenage years,
knock
man.
You out?
No. I felt like Superman, and I didn't feel nothing until next morning.
Well,
and Mommy!
Well, me and my guy on Tuesday night when we were in school, we used to call beer when we're at that point, it's just cold wet at this point, because that's it. It's just cold and it's wet. Have some. It's not really getting you drunk. So there were some definite overriding factors.
I made a mistake.
That come to play.
I made a mistake with a pint of vodka. Friend put it in the freezer. I was like, yeah, I'll drink this. Man, I took the whole thing and chugged it because it didn't taste like alcohol at that point. And they're like, "Oh,
Right.
you're okay?" And I took a couple steps. I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'm fine." Man, I fell to the floor real quick.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, that'll drop you. That'll drop you pretty quick. You got lucky. You get lucky there. But yeah, I heard this little wolf in the hallway, and next thing I know, I'm telling her, and she's like, "Yeah, I've heard it a couple times." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking?" First of all, why are you acknowledged this thing, and then said you've heard it before, and you didn't tell me? You know, it just was, and I haven't heard it in a while, at least a month, and I'm kind of worried that it's going to scare the shit out of me as I'm coming up the stairs, with a handful of something.
You know what?
I'm just waiting.
I did an investigation. Okay, now I've read into the phenomena of ghost dogs and cats and different pets and such.
Uh-huh.
And I never came across this until I did an investigation. It's called the Civil War Museum in Valentine, New York. And they said that there's a cat, a ghost cat there. And I was like, okay, interesting. So I put a couple of my devices on the floor. And, they went off. Throughout the night, they went off. And then we were up doing an EVP session. And myself and another investigator felt something rubbing against our legs. It wasn't each other. I can confirm that we weren't rubbing each other's legs, but there was something rubbing our legs.
Just the creepiest feeling in the world.
Well, it's interesting because now here's something that might be up your alley. When it comes to cryptozoology, and you see how like a lot of these cryptids people are seeing, such as past creatures we once know existed, like different types of pterodactyls that people say they claim to see. What if we, as energy, die, remain, and come back as this presence, this energy, why can't animal species do the same?
Right.
So,
it's because I was working under the assumption that animals were soulless. So that's why I always said the animal ghost thing was just garbage to me. And then lo and behold, here comes Ghost Dog.
You have a dog barking in your room.
Right? Like I said, as soon as I see Bigfoot, man, I'm on board. Okay? As soon as I see that thing.
Chip, come on
no
now,
more
Chip.
doubts.
When you were waking up in the middle of the night, thinking it was morning wood and had to go to the bathroom, you know damn well it was a ghost dog, and you were messing around with that peanut butter. So stop, Chip.
Ghost peanut butter. And here's what's even crazier. Okay, so I went through, and I knew there's an old couple at the end here of the road and across the street, and they're related and all that. So I said, okay, they all came into the subdivision the same time the place was built, late 90s. All right, so I go over there. I said, hey, since your mom was here since day one, do you remember any dogs over there on the end unit or anything like that? And next day, lo and behold, yep, old lady had a little dog in there. I said, I knew it. I couldn't believe it. And the only thing that blows my mind is we'd been here maybe 5 years, and it just came up in the last year and a half. So I'm like, well, what kept it from coming back? What kept it from making itself known earlier? I just don't know.
The thing
Weird.
is, maybe it did, and you just never paid attention to it.
Right.
You just wrote it off. Maybe you heard barks before, and you wrote it off as some dog outside, or a neighbor's dog, or something along those lines.
Well, and it happens at night. 3, 4 in the morning. We'll hear it then. It's mainly when it happens, and that's the other thing that kills me about it, is that I know damn well that these things aren't restricted to just a certain amount of time during the day. I like to think that that's just when it does its business. That's just when it goes to work, kind of thing. That everybody else, and it's always around during the day. You know what I mean?
He was barking so you would take him out so he could relieve himself.
Right. And it's I haven't heard it downstairs or anything like that, so it's really weird.
Now do you gotta wonder, Chip?
It's happened.
Now do you gotta wonder how many times you must have stepped in ghost dog doo-doo.
Right? Right.
How many times?
Had to have happened.
How many times you didn't take him out? This poor dog, you didn't let him out, and he came on your bed and just started peeing on your face. Come on.
Some foofy dog is busy teabagging me.
Oh, man. You know, it's funny because I said, if I ever die, the people that I can't stand, they're going to know I'm still around because they're going to wake up with a nasty taste in their mouth in the morning.
Right? Your toothbrush is going to be missing, you know. But yeah, I'll be able to do that, damn it, you know.
Tea bags for everyone.
You may as well. But there was the craziest investigation right along that I was on was a guy had his head smashed into the door jamb. Basically, we were sitting on the outside of the door, you know, not the inside of the jamb, you know, just the trim on the outside, you know, just smacked the hell out of. And you know, I was sitting right there across from him on the floor of the room, you know, when we were doing the EVP session. You know, everybody's sitting down, nobody's moving, nobody's fidgeting. You know, you're marking sounds that you know or that you made. You say that was me or that crack was me or, you know, something like that. You know, you mark what you do know. And and then all of a sudden, boom, just the loudest crack against the wall. You know, like just like easily, I mean, I couldn't even imagine the kind of wind up that you would need to make this kind of noise, because it's at least a 3 or 4 foot, you know, swing that you'd have to lean down and swing back and do that. And this is an old guy, you know, he's not doing this. And it was just a weird feeling, or a weird thing where he just went from still and to straight back and boom, you know, just real hard. And I'm like, okay, this is the guy who runs the group. And, you know, like I said, he's definitely older. I don't, you know, and this is the first things I was thinking in there. I said, okay, who's, you know, is he trying to pull one over on
right.
us? You know, is he really looking to do this to himself? You know, and I'm like, you know, here he is, always doing some river conservation work. You know, he's not this kind of guy that we, you know, like I said, he's an old man. I don't see an old man ramming their head into the wall to impress, you know, 2, 3 other people in the room. You know, I was like, you don't really have to sell me on this, right? So that was just insane. And the only reason I disqualify really completely is that I didn't see him, you know, swing his head down and then back. You know, that's the only thing that's disqualifying this for me from him doing it himself. Right. You know, because even though you know people, you don't know 100%, right? So, you know, there's always that doubt that he could have done it himself, right? But to make that happen, that sound, that much force, I think he would have needed to make a movement, and that would have been seen
right.
by me, you know, being right across. And it was just intense. And that was the same house where on a desk we had a paperweight move probably about 3 inches back and forth, you know, just scooting, you know, but I could hear it. You know, it was a nice audible scoot.
I've had
you know,
I've had some amazing stuff during investigations. You know, and I'm not one to kind of, if there was a little noise and try to sit there and say, oh my God, that has to be a ghost trying to speak to
right.
me. I mean, Steph, the wonderful Stephanie knows. She came on an investigation with us a couple weeks back, and, you know, nothing really happened. So not going to say the place is haunted and it's not haunted, because you can have a haunted location. Just because you're there doesn't mean something's going to happen on command. But I've been in places. We have this place here where we live. It's called Seaview. If you go to the near Facebook page, you'll see some of the evidence we got from there. It's incredible. You see shadow people. You see what to us, the old school bonnets and everything of a nurse coming out of a doorway. It's an amazing place. Another amazing place that we've been to is St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia, where actually I'm hosting an event there. And we can post it up for everybody. It's open to the public. It's a sanatorium. It had part of the Civil War battle happen there. It was Native American ground, and there was murders that were committed in the area and the bodies brought there. There were suicides while the place was a sanatorium that occurred in the place. They had everything from electroshock therapy to hydroshock therapy. Just an amazing place. And we're hosting an event. We got some amazing people guest speaking at the event. Carl L. Johnson, the famous demonologist from TAPS. We have Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal.
Nice.
Tracy Ray, who is a psychic medium. Just Eric Perry. We have a fantastic lineup for the show, for the event that we're hosting there. So you can check that out, and you can go to, I believe it's www.staubins/Radford, Virginia. Or just type in your browser, search St. Albans Sanatorium, and it's on there for the event. Check that out. But that place, which was really funny, is we went up there, and I've been going up there helping to restore the place, fixing up, doing renovations and such. And I had to do my radio show one night. So I went up to the sanatorium, hooked everything up, and was going to do my radio show from there. All of a sudden, the computer stopped working. The connection wasn't working in the place. So I had to call in on my phone. Right. Well, I'm sitting there during the interview. I believe we were interviewing Makita Brothman, who is a serial killer author. And we're sitting there talking. And now, we're talking to a serial killer author. I'm sitting here in one of the most haunted locations, and I'm doing a radio show, right? And I'm this big bad guy from New York.
Right.
So I'm sitting by the grand staircase, and that's where most of the renovation has been getting done. And all of a sudden, I hear my name being called from upstairs. So I put the phone on mute. I walk over the staircase. I yell up. I holler up. I walk to the top. I didn't see nobody. So 10 minutes later, I walk back down, and I sit back by the table again, and I'm continuing the interview. And then all of a sudden, you hear me scream, saying, "Oh, shit." And I run for the doors, man, and I'm running out of there. And you hear Joe, you hear the guest. "Is everything okay? Are you okay, Bruce? Where are you? Where are you?" Well, what happened was I was sitting by the grand staircase, and behind me, if you walk at about 100 feet, they call the King Center exit. And right over there, I heard what sounded like chains being slammed against the wall and dropped to the floor.
Yikes.
And I ran out of there. So I'm outside. Okay, I go to my car. I get a crowbar. You're going to ask, well, what is a crowbar going to do for you, right? But
better than
it
nothing.
made me feel safe. I get the
right?
crowbar.
Yeah.
I'm continuing the interview. And I sit there and I start texting the owner, Marcel, and stuff. I'm like, this stuff's going up here. I don't know what's going on. I just had to leave. So where the inn is to the sanatorium is only about 200 feet. You walk up from the inn. So they come walking up, and they go inside. And I said, no, don't go inside yet. Wait for me to be done with the interview, the radio show, and I'll come in with you.
Yeah.
So as we're sitting there, the last 10 minutes of the show, all of a sudden you hear a growl come from inside the sanatorium. So we end the interview, and then you see lights, like orb-type lights, coming from the basement area. So now I'm like, wow, could somebody be in here? Because she gave me the keys. I opened up the place. I let myself in, and I watched the only entrance. I didn't leave none of the entrances open but this one. So could somebody be in here screwing around with me? Well, then all of a sudden, from the top floor, you hear something slam against the window. That's when they wanted to go in. I said, you know what? Let's walk out. Let's set the alarms and close it up. If somebody is in here, the alarms are going to go off. That whole night, the alarms didn't go off. Nobody tried to leave. The place wasn't open. It was really interesting. This place is absolutely fantastic.
So you actually saw the light itself coming out of the basement?
Yes.
Or in the windows, like down the basement stairs? Or what was that?
Looking through the
situation?
windows, on the bottom floor, the basement floor. It's all windows around there, and it's actually right where those windows are set right where hydroshock therapy used to be performed.
Wow.
And there were...
Just straight torture, basically.
Yeah, and there were these bright orb lights in there. It didn't even look like a flashlight beam, because I would have said, well, you know what, these are a couple flashlights going on here. You know, let's call the local troopers or whatever to come here and see who's in here. You know, so it was really intense, this place. If you want to check out the place, if you can't come in May, but May 30th, if you want to come down to this event, St. Audubon Sanitarium, it's well worth it. Well, you get to hang out with some really good people who've been in the field for years and just get to investigate this place, hear lectures, and investigate the place itself.
That's the name of the game right there. Just get out there and hear people for yourself. And that's the best part about going to a lot of speaking lectures and tours and all that kind of stuff in the conferences, is getting to see people that you actually want to see in person and meeting them, because that's number one. You should be able to meet these people when you go there. Don't pay your money and all that and then don't meet the people you come there to see. That's stupid. That's what they're there for. They're there to reach out and talk to a lot of people. But a lot of the conference, I don't even bother with going. Do you go to a lot of conferences?
Here and there, not too many. You know what it is? I'm out there working, or I'm doing research so much. If I'm not investigating the paranormal, I'm investigating Bigfoot. I go to Jersey a lot. The Pine Barrens do Jersey Devil investigations. Mm-hmm. I go to Lake Champ and research over there. I go down south, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia. I do a lot of research, so I don't have too much time to go to these events.
Yeah, I hear you. And for the most part, you can see a lot of them or hear a lot of what they have to say just on various podcasts anyway, right? You're only really going for the fun of meeting your all-time hero,
well,
right?
Yeah, you're going there for the fun to hang out, but you're also going there and you're getting to do an investigation of this place. Which
yeah. You get extra bang for the buck out of yours, that's for sure. No simple meet and greet cocktail dinner, right?
And then we will have Chip, we'll have Joe, we'll have Jeff come down, and we'll all wear identical yellow banana hammocks, and we'll give a lecture.
Right.
You can't beat that.
Right there, and get it over with.
Exactly, man. The Chippendales.
Entertainment.
The Chippendales.
It's infotainment right there, baby.
Reality TV.
Reality conferences. That'd be a nice one right there, just to introduce. But there's too many folks out there, too many old guards still around. I'm afraid that by the time a lot of the old blood and the bad blood is gone, we'll be old too. So that's a problem,
I don't grow old. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Hopefully, and the only benefit of that is that we got rid of all these crooks basically, and open the door for some other people to come through, at least with a little better idea.
You know what I think? Well,
than the
you know what it is?
People they stand on the shoulders.
It is up to us, and people got to realize this in these fields. It is up to us to keep this going, to show and teach and give knowledge, education to the future generations who want to pick this field up, and and be a part of it. We're all going to go one day, whether it's by being abducted by extraterrestrials to get probed, or being Bigfoot's slave in a cave, or becoming a ghost yourself. We're all going to go one day, and what do we want to? We want to set an example now for the future generations, because then this field just is going to go downhill real quick.
Right. And do you have any places on Facebook you like to go? Because, I see you kind of getting a lot of side looks, being as skeptical as you are, and the high the high requirement of the proof, to base everything in. Do you get a lot of side looks from some of these pages on Facebook that you go to or you hang out in that are kind of these clearinghouses for information and other debunkers? Like, for example, I go to UFO Updates, and there's a lot of people in there that are very skeptical, and a lot of times that gets derided by people, who are busy glad-handing and selling honey, collecting bee, gathering more flies with honey types out there that don't like the critical mind to come out there. Do you ever catch a lot of flack from anybody or in any groups for being that skeptical minded?
Yeah, 100%. Again, I am not ashamed or anything to be hated by people in this field, because I am going to call a spade a spade. My passion is not for you, Chip, or anybody else. My passion is for the field. This is why I'm in it. This is why I spend thousands of dollars on equipment and, endless hours doing the research and doing the radio show.
And the travel.
Exactly. I don't do that for anybody else but myself, and I'm going to give my opinion. I'm going to give my theories. Whether you like it or not, I don't care. Will I hate you for your opinions and theories? No. We may not agree.
Right.
But we can come to a happy medium, you would think, and maybe work together, and this is when we'll get our answers that we're seeking. But yeah, you go to a lot of these groups and they want to hate right away. It's their way or no way. If if you join the BFRO group, you can't be a part of any other group. You have to follow their laws and guidelines, and and I'm sure it's the same in the UFO community.
I thought I did hear something about that. Like if you were in BFRO and you were in these other groups, they were busy running people out.
Oh yeah,
a while back.
Oh yeah,
huh?
Big time.
Insane. Yeah, like I said, it's a whole different genre group of individuals out there that I haven't tapped as much as I probably should. That I've stayed away from because of my own stupid personal thoughts on it. But
Chip, how can
it's definitely an avenue I need to open up to.
And this is for everybody: enthusiasts, researchers, radio hosts, etc. How can we expect the public to take what we do seriously when we can't, and give us respect when we can't even take each other and give each other respect in this field?
Right. And yeah, I definitely understand that point of view, and it's an uphill battle all the time. It's almost like re-educating brainwashed people. That's the uphill fight. I feel like it is just to introduce just a shred of skepticism to a lot of these Kool-Aid drinkers out there for the various cults' personalities, and that alone is just enough to get the torches and pitchforks, I guess, especially in the online world.
Oh yeah, well sometimes you feel like you're dealing with multiple women on their menstrual cycle when you're in these fields.
Don't worry, the Kotex Mafia will be coming after us. I don't know if Wonder Woman is going to be leading the charge on that one.
Bacon-flavored Kotex Mafia.
Oh, God, it just got worse. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. I got a little coffee action. It's a special treat for the live folks. I'll be editing that out. So, but we're at the end here. Go ahead, up against it as usual at the top of the hour. Go ahead and tell where everybody can find you online.
All right, come over to our Facebook page. Check us out. Give us a like, a share if you like what you see. Stay up to date with some information. It's www.facebook.com/NEAR2010. That's NEAR 2010. And then Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. It's afterhoursam.com. We do a show. It's on this network, and it's a great show. It's informative, fun, relaxed, entertainment. We get some great guests on here to come and just talk. So come on by and have a good time.
Definitely. I'm impressed with the guests you guys get on there. It's definitely a lot of work doing 2 nights a week and more than, like I was telling you at the break, us one pump chump a weeks here.
And Joel,
I always think it's insane.
And Joel, if you're listening, it's staying at 2 nights a week.
Two is tough. The daily grind folks out there that get it, man, that's insane, and they get the following to accompany it, and if they got that much time to commit to it, then by all means go get it. But hey, once is enough. But then again, I do back-to-back nights with different genres, so at least I keep it kind of different. I'm not doing 4 hours.
Yeah. And then, like we said, man, you got to give somebody like Joe a lot of credit, man, sitting here with all these shows, producing these shows, and busting his butt and doing what he does. Hats off to him. And
taking all our crap.
Exactly, taking all our crap, being probed and all that stuff. I mean, hats off to the guy.
The the blatant disrespect for that man. I tell you, this is a network full of rectums.
Yeah, I'm definitely sending him a bottle of lube. His and hers for Christmas. You got it.
There you go. The family pack, as we like to call it.
Extra large.
In the old country.
Costco version.
I love me some Costco. Well, we got to get out of here. Now I guess Taliban Joe is going to come get us, so he's gonna find out our addresses, and he'll be writing his burrow from south of the border.
Well, he's going to find my address and send me a random book and start probing me. Hey.
Right? Hey, read this while I'm doing this, buddy. No problem, right? All right, well, we'll get out of here. You're listening to the Mind Cemetery, and we had Bruce Barraclaw on here, Jr., talking about UFOs, paranormal, maybe not so much UFOs. Well, we talked about everything, damn it. And, of course, our favorite Bigfoot. So we'll get out of here for this week. Thanks for coming on, Bruce, and by all means, come on back, because there's obviously plenty to talk about. We're a couple of blathering people here.
You got it, brother. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We'll check you out tomorrow night for sure. That's definitely right after Big Shoulder Sports Show at 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. right here on UPRNTalkRadio.com, After Hours AM. Check them out. You will not be disappointed. You're more disappointed on Monday nights, not so much Tuesday, Thursday nights. So you got that going for you. Have a good night, everybody. Taliban Joe, we really do love you. Kisses, X's and O's, hugs.
And, of course, those fart boxes.
And the fart box. Don't forget to massage it every once in a while. Have a good night. See you next week.